Hello everybody, this is the iFan channel here, and today is actually a combined episode. Instead of making two videos, I'm actually going to be making one of me going to Budva, Montenegro, as well as Mostar in Bosnia. Basically two very underrated cities, but I think Mostar is even more underrated because it is a lot more scenic but has less tourists. In fact, I was debating between going to Budva and Kotor. Both are in Montenegro, but I decided to go to Budva instead because, fun fact, Montenegro used to have a McDonald's. In fact, they were one of the former countries in Yugoslavia, and nowadays, because of lack of location in Budva, there is no longer a McDonald's. Basically, Budva was the only location in Montenegro with the McDonald's, so that's why I chose Budva in Montenegro. Because it's kind of big enough to sort of have a McDonald's at some point in time until like 11 years ago. But here are some fun facts about Montenegro. Montenegro is actually called Crna Gora. It became independent from Serbia in like 2007 and 2006. Around that time, basically it declared independence in 2007. And also, Montenegro actually is part of the Eurozone, sort of. It is not part of the EU, but actually uses and accepts the euro as its tender currency. So why not, I'm gonna see you guys at the bus station. Okay guys, I just got to the bus station about 30 minutes early, so why not, I'm actually gonna eat this mlina. And fun fact, the mlina here is a lot more expensive than in Zagreb. Yes, Dubrovnik is kind of like double the price of Zagreb. So instead of paying like something like €3.50, I paid €7 for this, yeah, which is insane. It shows how expensive Dubrovnik is. Basically, after eating my mlina, I finally arrived on the bus from Dubrovnik to Budva in Montenegro. So when I'm gonna see you guys when I'm in Budva. Okay guys, I'm about 3 miles from the Montenegrin border and the scenery is absolutely epic here, but unfortunately I could not film at the border due to fear of reprisal from the border guards. After several minutes at the border control, I finally arrived in Montenegro. There are actually two border crossings, one for leaving Croatia and the other for entering Montenegro. And the scenery is still very scenic over here, but we start to see the poor side of Europe, essentially, because Montenegro is not part of the EU, nor is it part of the Schengen area. But in my opinion, it's still better than like other Yugoslav countries, and of course my home country, Vietnam, in terms of development. But as you can see, this is what Montenegro looks like. It is quite safe, of course. You should not be worried about crime, despite the fact that Montenegro is less affluent than other European countries. After a while of driving Montenegro, I'm in what is considered a scenic spot. I really can't believe it. This is actually the Dinaric Alps here in the Balkans. But as you can see, I do believe Montenegro is quite underrated, because you do get the Swiss-like beauty with all the mountains, but not many tourists. And here is even more of the beauty. It is just so underrated, as not many people really know Montenegro compared with EU countries. It has now been nearly 50 minutes since my last clip, and over here even more beauty. Essentially there's even a lake. But I do believe Montenegro, as well as the Balkans region in general, is quite underrated. After a while, with all of this beauty, I finally arrived in Kotor. Basically more than halfway between Dubrovnik and Budva. Kotor is actually another charming destination, but I'm not going to Kotor in this trip. In fact, I'm actually going to Budva, despite the fact many do say Kotor is better than Budva in some ways. As you can see, this just isn't as beautiful, but let me show you guys the old town. Okay guys, this is Kotor old town, essentially with all the palm trees and stuff. Basically we're at the Dinaric Alps, but this is actually near the Adriatic Sea, so kind of close to the Mediterranean, so which means good climate all year round, just like in Italy and Spain. But as you can see, that is the old town of Kotor here. I'm very close to Budva now, and here are the attractions I have not visited in Dubrovnik. in fact, many of them, like, you do have to pay extra money on top of the Dubrovnik pass. And at Banja restaurant, I basically could not really afford the food, so hence these are attractions I missed. But I'm actually on my way to Budva, basically only about like 10 miles-ish from Budva. After about like 5 hours in what seems like an eternity, I finally arrived in Budva, and this is my room over here. It is now around 3 p.m. So basically I arrived in Budva at around 2:30 p.m. and as you can see, there's actually a bed which is quite big and a balcony outside, but I don't think I'll use it. But I only paid $30 US, which is really crazy cheap. But this is the outside view of Budva, quite amazing, but it is still a third world country in relation with, like, say, other European countries. But if you were to go in, this is actually where the restroom is, where I'll be taking shower and stuff. So quite nice, in fact. But why not? I'm actually going to go out and eat. I'll definitely for sure buy a SIM card. Okay guys, after 1 hour rest, due to me looking for a SIM card, because I do want a GigSky SIM card, which actually gives 100 megs of data for free rather than pay 15 euros for a SIM card which only works in Montenegro. I'm actually going to go to the old town of Budva. In fact, unfortunately, because of time constraints, I could not go to monasteries and stuff and might miss some museums. But here's my list here. But I'll try to go to as much as I can. As you can see, this is how much I probably will be going. I might eat at Jadran, who knows if it's too expensive, but I'll try my best. Basically, here are some fun facts about Budva. The first record dates all the way to 5th century BC. It was actually colonized by the Greeks as well as the Romans and the Byzantines as well. And basically, in 1200, it became the seat of a Roman Catholic diocese of Padua, which lasted all the way until the 19th century. And basically, I'm just going to go around the old town because it actually includes a citadel as well as several churches and stuff. So why not? I'm going to show you guys what I mean when I go out. Okay guys, I'm finally on the street now. And as you can see, there are a lot of mountains here. It is absolutely stunning. But why not? I'm going to go to the center of Budva, basically the old town, and spend much of my time in the old town. I'm not sure if I will go all the way to the Riviera, but basically I did install data saving mode so I could save some mobile data whilst in Montenegro, because I only have 100 megabytes, yeah, for free. I'm currently quite close to Jadran now. I'm going to the mega market to actually get some food and actually drinks, because I don't think I will get any food there. But over here is actually the TQ Plaza, which is actually the main shopping center in Budva. So basically I'm going to the mega market so I could stay hydrated and not get laryngitis. As you can basically see, this is actually the entrance to the TQ Plaza, the main shopping center in Budva, where I'll actually be using Wi-Fi. Maybe, who knows, I'll eat. I don't know if I'll eat in Jadran or not, because they don't seem to have specific prices. But they're quite an iconic restaurant in Budva, and actually one of the main tourist attractions in Budva. Anyway, so here it is, TQ Plaza. I'm actually going to eat here, and then I'm going to go to the old town and take a look at the citadel. Since I couldn't really find anything meaningful, why not either go to Jadran or really any other restaurants, because it's kind of hard to find restaurants at the mall. But maybe I'll try some bit more, and if not, maybe I'll eat at Jadran. But as you can see, this is actually what the mall map looks like. I think I might have to go outside to even get to any restaurant. After 25-30 minutes of waiting, I finally got my food, and it's quite delicious. Basically a burger, onion rings and fries and stuff, as well as some candy, I believe so. Basically, like, I paid like around 10 euros, which is quite a good deal for one of these, especially at a hip restaurant. But why not? Let's try it, and then I'm going to go around Budva. Basically, Montenegro is quite small, so it does not really have a local cuisine. If I was to try on a local cuisine, maybe I would try in maybe Bosnia or Serbia or Macedonia or something. I'm now finally outside of the restaurant, and as you can see, I actually did see a car from Illinois, which is absolutely striking, especially in Montenegro, where cars from like the US are obviously rare. Even in Europe, Basically 2 years ago in the Czech Republic I did see a car from British Columbia, but yeah, I actually did see a car from Illinois, which is crazy. Basically the first time in nearly 2 weeks I see a North American car. And after about like several minutes of walking, I finally arrived at the old town, basically entering the citadel, but I'm kind of scared because there are a lot of stray dogs around. Luckily this dog is actually leashed, but I have seen several stray dogs and cats, just like I did when I was in Vietnam. Basically, here it is, the old town of Budva. Here's the entrance. I'm now going to enter the fortress here. Basically a smaller wall than that of Dubrovnik we went yesterday. But as you can see, I'm actually going to go into Budva. Fun fact about Budva, Budva does have about 20,000 people. So it's not really a big city, but it is surprisingly dense given the concentration of the buildings and stuff. And it does have important history in Montenegro. And another fun fact is Budva is of course not the capital of Montenegro. The capital is actually Podgorica, of which I'm not going to visit this time. And basically, as you guys all know, this old town is definitely not for cars or even motorcycles. It is kind of like Venice, but in a different fashion. And over there, Sambra, which actually is a Mediterranean cuisine. Basically, as you guys know, Montenegro is close to the Adriatic Sea, which is actually on the Mediterranean Sea. So basically, hence they actually serve Mediterranean foods. But why not? I'm actually going to look for some museums and stuff to go to. Geez, stray cat here. Basically, the first attraction I'm going to be looking at is actually the Jovo Ivanovic art gallery, which actually does not even cost any money. In fact, I actually got in for free, which is quite a good thing, as Budva is quite a small city. So basically, with not much attractions, having free attractions is very, very good, especially for my finances, given the fact I lost $50 from a stupid decision by sleeping 2 extra hours. But as you can see, there are actually a lot of artworks around here. Basically, mainly from the modern era, but essentially they're from the last like 20 years, I believe so, basically the 21st century. And if you go upstairs, you would actually see even more art here. Basically, this is actually from just 1 year ago. Yeah, which is hilarious. Basically, many art museums would feature art from like 500-600 years ago or something. But this, basically in the past several years, basically 6 years ago. And if you were to go in here, there's even more stuff, as well as a piano even. So basically all of these are quite modern art here. And due to the fact this museum is relatively small, I'm already finished after about 5 minutes. And therefore I'm just going to leave the museum, the art gallery I meant. Next up, I'm actually going to visit the Museum of Budva here, the museum of the city of Budva. So basically it does cost €3, which is quite affordable, especially compared with many museums in Europe and stuff. It is essentially as expensive as many Vietnamese museums. Unfortunately, I don't really have much cash, as I do have to save cash in order to do the laundry in Bosnia, as well as maybe the future. So why not? I'm going to look for somewhere else, but then maybe return if I decide it is the correct idea, because I do have €5 worth of cash anyways. So why not? I'm just going to go around Budva. Basically, here's some narrow roads and stuff. It's quite cool here. After 2 minutes walking, I finally arrived at Church Sveti Ivan, basically Church of St. John the Baptist, which is actually built during the 7th to 12th century AD. So why not? I'm actually going to go in, but unfortunately I cannot record here. Now unfortunately, just like I said, I could not record, so there's no footages. But the church does look more plain than, say, the other Baroque churches. But here's the outside. Basically, I do believe it's in some Romanesque style. But I'm not too sure because I don't really have the internet. But basically, this is actually the citadel here. The Budva Citadel. Why not? I'm just going to climb up the Budva Citadel. But why not? First, let's admire the beauty of the Adriatic Sea by looking at the Adriatic Sea for a bit. Basically, it is absolutely stunning. I wish I would have swam or something, and bought swimming clothing, but I forgot to bring swimming clothing, so I'm just gonna stay at the hotel. But here it is absolutely stunning with all the rocks and stuff. Basically very stunning. And this is actually another church. It is actually called the Holy Trinity Church in Budva. I'm actually going to go in before going to the Citadel, because it would actually take a while to go up the Citadel, so why not, I'm going to go there. But I think Budva is really the more compact version of Dubrovnik. Unfortunately, no pictures or videos allowed to be taken there, but there is actually a religious hymn actually being sung at the church over here. Basically, whilst the other cathedral is actually, I believe, Catholic Christianity, this is of course a Orthodox Christianity. That's the difference between the two. So why not, I'm just going to go up the Citadel now. Unfortunately, could not record either church, so could not show you guys. But they're basically two different denominations because of the schism in 1054. I'm now entering the Citadel now. I'm not sure how much it costs, but why not, let's find out. It says working hours, who even knows. But that's actually a museum, library, panorama, Budva, collection of old ships, symbol Budva, and ruins of a medieval church. So here is the entrance here. Basically, I'm not sure, we'll see. So ironically, this Citadel is also cash only, but I do have €5 to spend, so now I essentially lost all my cash, yes. But I do believe like the museum of the city of Budva might not even have like translations, so it might be worth it to be like some Serbian or Montenegrin or something, but I'm not sure. But as you can see, this is actually the Biblioteca, which is actually the library here. The Biblioteca actually does include various books, even from the 20th and even 21st century over here, as it does say US versus USSR and stuff, as well as several Macedonian texts and stuff. Basically, it does include encyclopedias, even Yugoslavia as well, which is a 20th century empire, ranging from like the pre-World War II to the communist empire of the Cold War. And basically, you should see an array of books, but I'm not sure if it's free or not, or if I have to be a member of the museum. But over here is another side of the library, I believe so. This is actually Citadel over here. Yeah, so basically the other side of the library. Basically, there's a stray cat over here. I'm currently outside now, and as you can see, this is actually the remains of the church of Santa Maria de Castello, basically from the 12th to the 14th century AD. Basically, it is like this now, but it used to be a bit different. After this, I'm going to the collection of old ships over here in the Citadel. So basically, I'm going to go upstairs here in old castle, and here are some old ships here. I do have to tuck in because sometimes the doors are kind of short, even if I'm only 5'7" myself. But here it is. Basically, it does include English translations as well, which is quite lucky. And here's some old ships, I presume from like the second millennium for sure, but it does say 18th century. Basically, as you guys know, many of these ships are very, very old. This actually came from 1492. Actually, this is the Santa Maria ship, which is actually used for Christopher Columbus's journey all the way to Hispaniola. And here's some other ships, and even then, there are actually vases as well as pottery as well in here. Basically, fun fact about Christopher Columbus, despite the fact he's not the first person to explore the Americas, actually the first Europeans are actually the Vikings, and maybe even the Phoenicians as well from a long time ago, but that's kind of speculative. But the Vikings are almost for sure, because they did settle in what is now Iceland and Greenland as well. But Christopher Columbus actually ushered in an era of colonization of the Americas, which actually caused the English to settle, and hence we have the US as an English-speaking superpower. As this is actually a Budva castle, hence this is actually the old gate of the castle, I'm going to enter the old gate now and see what it is all about inside this old gate. Basically, I do see this, which I do assume is some type of exhibition. So why not, I'm just gonna enter. It basically says here the Donzen Kula, basically keep. I don't even know, and the door seems locked as well. So why not? I'm just going to go up here then. And I essentially arrived in the same area again. Basically €5. But I couldn't have used all the potential of this castle. So why not? I'm just gonna see if there are any more places to look at. I've now climbed all the way to the top of the citadel here, and as you can see, this is the view of Budva, the old as well as the new town. Basically, the new town does resemble Monaco to some extent, and the old town does resemble Dubrovnik, albeit smaller and slightly different styles of architecture. Basically, as you can see, it is absolutely breathtaking. You can also see the Dinaric Alps as well as even the Adriatic Sea and the flag of Sinagora. Basically, over there would have been the Budva Riviera, and over there, that's actually the Mogorin Beach, by the way. So basically, I'm just going to go down, but as you can see, it is a very, very scenic view up here. You can see the Adriatic Sea as well as some mountains and stuff. It is absolutely relaxing up here and stunning. Now, one of the last attractions I'm gonna visit in the old town of Budva is actually the Church of Saint Mary the Virgin. Basically, due to the fact I'm nearly out of mobile data, basically I have 100 megabytes of allowance, but over here it is. Basically, this is the Church of Saint Sabas, and over there is actually the Church of Santa Maria in Punta from the 9th century AD. So basically, this is actually a medieval walled city, just like Dubrovnik. So why not, let's take a look around. And that is actually from the 12th century AD. Unfortunately, it does not seem like I could enter this Church of Saint Sabas, the Sanctified. I could not enter the Church of Virgin Mary as well, unfortunately, but that's the main Orthodox church and that's the main Catholic church of Budva in Montenegro. As you can see, it's kind of unfortunate, but why not? I'm actually going to go out to the beaches. But before, let's take a look at this person going down a parachute. It is absolutely relaxing, but I'm actually scared of skydiving and stuff. I do have a fear of heights. Basically, I'm acrophobic, so I wouldn't want to be on a parachute because I'm scared. Who knows? Maybe I'm going to be in the sea and maybe I'm going to drown. Who knows? But lastly, before we go out of the old town, here is actually a grave of Stefan Mitrov Jobica over here. So why not? I'm actually going to exit the old town now. But lastly, on the way out, as you guys know, Budva was actually colonized by the Romans. So here is actually a Roman therme from the 2nd and 1st century BC. So I'm actually truly going out of the old town, as the old town is really small, even smaller than Dubrovnik's old town as well. Basically, I do believe this is like half a square mile or something. Because you can see like every single building, but the roads are kind of cool here. But unfortunately, there is actually a stray dog problem and stray cat problem, despite the fact this dog is leashed here. Okay guys, after some bubbling around, I finally got out of the old town. I'm actually going to look for some other things to do in Budva, which is quite an amazing city in Montenegro. But there are a lot of visitors, yes, just like Kotor in Montenegro. Now over here is actually one of the gates to enter, which is Pisana Gate. But why not? I'm actually going to go to one of the beaches. The first beach is actually called Plaza Rikadova Glav, and then the next will be Mogorin Beach. Even funnier is I actually saw a Cadillac Escalade EXT, which is already rare compared to the regular Cadillac Escalade, basically from Florida. Yes, Florida in Montenegro. Yes, I saw 2 American cars today in Montenegro, in Budva, which is absolutely insane. I'm now on my way to the plaza, which is actually in fact a beach, and it is actually funnier if I were to say that Budva is actually designed to be the Miami of Yugoslavia. Now, even though there's several gates to enter the old town, this is actually the main gate, and the old town walls were actually built between the 9th and 17th century AD. Just like that of the old walls of Dubrovnik. And over here it is, Plaza Richardova Glava. I'm actually going to enter the beach and then I'm gonna walk to the Mogren beach. I'm now in the Plaza Rikchadova Glava, and over there is actually the old town, basically in a similar nature to Dubrovnik, except slightly different because it's slightly smaller. But there are also less tourists as well, and less things to do because it is really small. In fact, Budva only really has 20,000-ish people, but in reality, I'm kind of debating if it's a pier, if it's a dock. Basically, it's kind of insignificant, but over there is actually a resort of some kind. Now I'm actually going to walk further to the Mogren beach. Now I'm essentially in the other side of Budva. Over here is the old town, and I'm now at the dancing girl of Budva here. Basically near the Mogren beach. But as you can see, this is what the statue looks like. It is essentially free. And this is even a more iconic screenshot here. And yes, I do see boats. I really wish I at least ride the boats or even swim or something, but I forgot my swimming clothing in Cambridge, so that's kind of unfortunate. Basically, there's not much to do in Budva, but there's a lot of nice oceans and stuff, nice beaches and scenery as well as the Dinaric Alps, and you even have Kotor as well, so you can see a lot of things. Unfortunately, the boat place I believe is closed, but it would have costed 40 euros for about 1 hour. And I really hope I rode the boats and stuff. It is going to be a lot of fun to ride around Budva and stuff. But I'm not sure if there is even a bus system in Budva, because I only really see tour buses and stuff and taxis as well. But taxis could be very expensive at times. So basically, here's the last view of the old town. It is so amazing. Basically a smaller version of Dubrovnik, essentially. Now over here is the Mogren beach here, and I really wish I swim. But unfortunately, I do not have any swimming suits. I might have to strip all the way down to my underwears, but that could be kind of fatal for my underwear. So whatever, I'm just going to see the beach as it is in its beauty. And basically, this is absolutely relaxing. Just walking through here. And this is essentially the boardwalk of Budva. And actually seeing the Adriatic Sea over here. As you can see, this part of the beach is full of rock pebbles, but there's actually sand here, so you can actually sit down, just relax, and actually just see the ocean from here. Basically, I'm scared I might slip down, so I'm gonna find a more stable surface and actually just walk around before actually returning to the hotel over here. I'm now on the way to the hotel, and these are the places we have not visited. I have not visited the Budva Museum because it does require cash, and I do believe all the writings are actually in Serbian and stuff, or Montenegrin. And the other is I did not eat a Jadran because I did eat somewhere else, and of course I did not go to the Budva Riviera, but I did actually see it, even though I did go to Mogren Beach. And here it is, the statue of Stefan Mitrov Ljubica. Basically the guy buried. He's actually a writer and diplomat. I thought he's some religious figure or something. As you can see, over here is Restaurant Jadran, which also includes Montenegrin cuisine, and it's actually a 4-star restaurant, which means it's quite a luxurious one. It is quite unique. But in fact, I actually ate at the other restaurant, so whatever. But here's the menu over here. Basically, you do have quite affordable food and slightly more expensive food, but quite great food anyways. Okay guys, I just returned to my hotel. I'm actually gonna sleep, and then tomorrow I gotta wake up early, like around 5:30, to actually walk all the way to the Budva bus station to go to Mostar in Bosnia Herzegovina. So I'll see you guys tomorrow in the bus station. Good morning, it is very sunny now. As you can see, I did have to wake up at around 5:40 to catch the bus from Budva to Mostar. So why not, I'm gonna see you guys at the bus station. Okay guys, I'm now on the bus. Unfortunately, the hotel did demand I pay using cash. They only like messaged me after I left the hotel because the bus does arrive at 7. And also this bus is kind of strange because they demand me to pay €1 in cash just to keep my luggage, which is absolutely insane because I did not have time to go to the bank. But in reality, I had to buy the tickets in person because online it does not really work. But as you can see, the bus is like less than half full, to be honest, despite the fact it's already like sold out. on Get by Bus Croatia as well as Central Trans. After a short while at the border, I finally arrived in Bosnia Herzegovina, which is actually one of the least developed countries in Europe, basically one of the 10 least developed countries. But in reality, Bosnia has been reeling itself from the effects of the Yugoslav war, and it has been developing. However, there was population decline for at least, I believe, 20 years. I believe so, 10 years, correct me if I'm wrong. But basically, Bosnia's population did decline. Its capital is actually Sarajevo, which I'll actually visit tomorrow. But today I'm actually going to go to Mostar, which is one of the more beautiful places in Bosnia. I really hope there's more tourism, but Bosnia is still like kind of unknown compared with the other countries. But as you can see, its scenic beauty is obviously there over here. I really can't wait to arrive at Mostar so I could actually go to the bankomat, which is actually an ATM, to actually like withdraw some money so I could maybe give to the hotel as compensation, or maybe it could just talk to booking customer service. But as you can see, the scenery is absolutely awesome. After about 6.5 hours, I finally arrived in Mostar in Bosnia Herzegovina. Basically, as you can see, it starts to become a bit poor, but in reality, I still think this is a lot cleaner than Vietnam, my home country, even Ho Chi Minh City and Hanoi, even though this is not the capital of Bosnia Herzegovina. But as you can see, Mostar does look quite scenic. And unfortunately, because of the Montenegrin fiasco and the fact I found out the hotels in Bosnia, Serbia and Macedonia only accept cash, I did have to print 200 Bosnian convertible marks, which is essentially 100 euros worth of money. So basically I'm now looking for a place to eat, but I'm not sure where to eat. Okay guys, I'm actually going to eat this, and over here my Bosnian marks over here, I'm actually going to exchange them for smaller denominations. But here's my pizza, basically a chicken BBQ pizza. I'm actually going to eat for a bit and then I'm going to go to the hotel and then pay by cash. Basically, I'm not really familiar with Yugoslavia as much as the EU, and I'm still quite baffled. They only accept cash, and it's still a cash-based economy compared with the other Western European countries. After eating my pizza, this is my hotel room. I only paid 20 euros, which is a really low price, especially for like a private room with a private restroom, essentially. Basically, this is what the room looks like. It is quite clean and quite organized, but the bed is also reasonably soft compared to in Vietnam, where I slept and I paid $25 a night. And basically here's the restroom. It is quite well organized, but at 20 euros I wouldn't say like it is at all inexpensive. In fact, in Switzerland I actually got a lesser room but had to pay 100 euros, which is absolutely insane. Basically in Europe, like hostels and stuff cost $25-30. Yeah, and you have to share like a bed with like several other people, and having a private room is really nice. So I'm basically just going to put on the AC, take a rest for a bit, maybe for about 20 minutes, and then I'm going to go to the center of Mostar. I'm now outside of my hotel accommodation, and I'm now going to the Mercator, basically a supermarket, so I could buy a SIM card plus several bottles of water. Basically, I'm not sure if a SIM card would actually work or not, but let's try. Otherwise, I'll survive without a SIM card in Bosnia, as carrier stores in Bosnia are unfortunately closed for the weekend, despite the fact many AT&T, Verizon, Sprint and T-Mobile in the US, as well as many European carriers throughout the western part of Europe and the rest of the EU, actually do open on weekends. I just don't know how. Okay guys, I just got to the supermarket, bought some water as well as a SIM card, basically for only 10 Bosnian convertible mark, which is actually around 5 euros 15 cents or something. So basically very affordable. I actually got 10 gigs of data. I'm not sure if it actually works in Serbia, but I could try. But here it is. Basically now I'm going to walk to the center of Mostar and have some fun and probably use up some of my money. And then if I want to run out of Bosnia, basically I'm going to exchange my Bosnian marks for, you guessed it, Serbian dinars, RSD. Basically, fun fact, even though Bosnian marks are officially abbreviated as BAM, in terms of official currency. In terms of local use, they actually abbreviated KM. In every other country in the world, KM is actually kilometers. But here, they actually also have a different use, not just for kilometers, but also for Bosnian marks as well. Now, due to the fact it's slightly raining, why not? I'm actually going to go to the Museum of Bosnian War Victims. Basically, over here it is. As you guys know, the Serbians did commit genocide against Bosnian Muslims, and therefore I'm quite interested at what the museum has to offer, because there'll be a lot of stuff. Basically, Yugoslavia during the 90s was actually run by a dictator named Slobodan Milosevic. I'm now inside the Genocide Museum, and basically, as you guys all know, the Serbs did initiate genocide against the Bosnians and the Croatians. Basically, the Bosnians were some of the biggest victims of genocide. Over here is actually the old bridge of Mostar. Basically, Mostar's iconic landmark. It was built during the 16th century, and despite the fact it survived basically every war, it was actually destroyed in the 90s during the Bosnian War, and it was actually rebuilt in 2004. So basically a few years after it was born. And as you can see here, some artifacts from the genocide. And if you guys know, this is actually the leader of Republika Srpska. He's currently serving a life sentence inside a British prison. And the commander of the VRS army is also currently in prison now. And here's some materials used during the Bosnian War. And over here is the famous old bridge in Mostar, which is now a UNESCO heritage site. Basically, the genocide got so bad the UN has to be involved in the peacekeeping. Basically, it's Srebrenica something. Yes, basically, Srebrenica was actually not occupied by the Serbs during the 90s, basically 1993, 1994, but in 1995, it was actually occupied by the Serbs, and this many Bosnians actually died, 8,372, which is absolutely insane. Even in what is an unoccupied peace zone, according to UN peacekeepers during the early to mid 90s. Basically, over here is some first aid kit used by the UN. And these are actually the personal items found in mass graves in Bosnia. Basically, as you can see, a lot of people are actually injured. And this is actually during the 90s, so only like 30 years ago or something. Over here is a typical isolation cell to put the Bosnians inside. And as you can see, these are some of the concentration camps. Basically, internment camps used to intern all the Bosniaks as well as Croats. Basically, there was a mass ethnic cleansing campaign against the Bosniaks and Croats by the Serbs. And of course, many Serbs and Serb leaders were sent to the Yugoslavia tribunal to be tried for crimes against humanity. And of course, here's a map of former Yugoslavia, which actually broke up in 1991 because Slovenia and Croatia actually became independent. Luckily enough, Slovenia did suffer a 10 days war, but really not much as Croatia, Bosnia, which actually suffered the most. Serbia, of course, and Macedonia, Kosovo, Montenegro, basically are some of the other member states of Yugoslavia. Okay guys, I'm in the basement, and over here are the war bunkers, basically to shield yourself from being killed. Over here is actually TV, with of course the 90s news video. Basically, I do have these TVs when I was a child, and here is actually a war furnace. Basically, they do have to improvise furnaces in order to survive. And of course, like, even though conditions are bad, people actually still survive, and it is actually very crowded. And if you were to go upstairs, it will actually show some more information. Sorry, the stairs are actually very, very steep. I actually nearly fell. And as you can see, these are the people publicly indicted for war crimes, including Milosevic, who was actually the leader of the Federal Republic of Yugoslavia. And over here is the flag of the Republic of Bosnia Herzegovina, the very first flag from the 90s, 1992, basically the year the war started. And over here some more artifacts and stuff from the Bosnian War, and now I'm actually gonna leave. I now just exited the War Genocide Museum, and now I'm actually going to go to the old bridge of Mostar, basically the bridge which was actually destroyed in 1993, according to the museum. It is quite fascinating to learn that Mostar was actually hard hit by the war. And Srebrenica was actually a safe haven, but by 1995, when it was occupied by Serbs, it was no longer a safe haven. I'm now in the old city, and specifically the old bridge of Mostar, and here it is. As you can see, it is actually dedicated as a UNESCO heritage site, and over here is the old bridge in its glory. Basically quite a unique old town compared to other European old towns. Basically Mostar does have character, and even though it has character and has relatively fewer tourists than, like, say, Paris or London or Rome or Amsterdam, Barcelona, Venice or Madrid or really anything, there's still a lot of tourists even in Mostar, despite the fact Bosnia is relatively unknown compared to many other EU countries. I'm currently on the old bridge of Mostar, and over there is actually the Neretva river, and basically this is actually the other side. It is quite scenic. I'm scared I might, like, trip or fall or something, but as you can see, it is absolutely scenic with the Dinaric Alps and stuff, as well as the old town of Mostar with its unique character and stuff. It just looks absolutely amazing from here. And I'm actually going to walk to the other side, and I'm going to show you guys the iconic screenshot of Mostar in a sec, once I actually go over there. I'm now walking to the other bridge I just showed you, basically south of the old bridge, and over here is a miniature version of the old bridge. So why not, I'm actually going to cross it. I'm actually on my way to the old bridge viewpoint, or one of the viewpoints of the old bridge, which is actually called the Stari Most, and over here is actually called the Kriva Kuprija. Basically this is a smaller old bridge, and over here is actually a waterfall, and over here is a mosque of some kind, and it is absolutely scenic even through here. But why not, I'm actually trying to look for an old bridge viewpoint somewhere around here, and I'll show you guys, and I'll explain some more about the old bridge in just a sec. Basically in Bosnian, Kriva Kuprija meant a crooked bridge. This bridge was actually built in around 1558, basically the same century as the old bridge, Stari Most, and it actually connected the north and south part of Mostar. Over here it also contributed to regional security by allowing traffic to be controlled from the towers of the old bridge, and the old bridge actually connected the east and west by the Neretva river. Yes, I'm trying to pronounce it. Basically this whole bridge, the crooked bridge, is actually 8.43 meters long and 4.21 meters high, so it's not as high as the other one, but it is still quite big. It was actually collapsed on New Year's Eve in 1999 during the winter floods because of the damage from the Bosnian War, but it has been reconstructed 3 years later, and it is actually like this now. So basically I'm actually going to go to the viewing point, or one of the viewing points of the Stari Most. Basically this exemplifies it all. This is actually the view of the old bridge, essentially the very iconic view of the old bridge here, which is actually called Stari Most, which was actually built by the Ottomans during the 16th century. And just like I told you guys, it actually crosses the river Neretva, and it actually connects two of the parts of the cities, which is named after the bridge keepers who actually guarded the Stari Most during the Ottoman Empire. And basically during the Croatian War and Bosniak War, this was actually used as a supply line, but it was shelled by the Croatian Defense Council in 1993, and it was subsequently reconstructed in 2004. Its total length is essentially 29 meters, and it is around 4 meters wide, and the clearance is actually about 20 meters, so it is quite high. And the architect is actually Mima Hayrudin. So why not, I'm actually going to go around Mostar and take a look at something else. But the bridge is truly iconic, and is of course one of the main attractions of Mostar, and it could actually see a lot of people, but definitely not as much as the Karlov Mosque in Prague. I'm now on my way to the mosque, basically specifically the Koski Mehmed Pasha Mosque, and now over here is actually the Bazaar Kujunziluk, which is basically a market. Well, many Muslim countries do have bazaar, which is actually a street essentially where there's a lot of souvenirs and stuff, food, as well as even clothing and stuff. So as you can see, this is what the bazaar looks like. Well, basically you do see a lot of shops here selling souvenirs, as well as jewelry, and even more souvenirs here. Basically, you can buy a lot of gold and stuff as well. Just like in Top Gear, where they actually visited a bazaar. In fact, many bazaars are actually called souks and stuff. In other Muslim countries, souks are actually used for like a certain central market over here. But over here is actually called a bazaar. So basically, here's some more of the bazaar here. Basically, these are actually artifacts and house tools and stuff. Here are some more souvenirs. Basically quite cool, and they even sell clothing as well. And it is extremely crowded, but I'm going to the mosque if it even opens. Basically over here is another view of Mostar, and over here the road is actually named Kujong Zeluk, just like the bazaar itself. Basically here is the bazaar in full, basically with a lot of stuff, including even an art studio. Basically several art studios actually. I'm actually going to now walk to the mosque, or even one of the mosques. I'm actually just going to walk around now, and over here is actually the Pasha Mosque, but unfortunately it actually closed. I kind of felt bad for having went to the Genocide Museum first before this, because this mosque actually closes at 5:30 and the Genocide Museum actually closes at 9 p.m. Over here would be the Bosnia Museum, and this is actually a Bosnian guy actually playing some sort of Bosnian traditional instruments. And over here is actually a mosque. I'm actually going to see the mosque for a bit. Basically over here is the Koski Mehmed Pasha Mosque. It was actually built in 1618, 1619 by Mahmud as well as Mehmed. Basically the guy's name is actually Mehmed Koskia. Basically he died in 1611, and he actually did start construction of this mosque, but unfortunately the mosque is not finished. And over here it is. The mosque would have been like around 10 marks, but basically I do believe the door is sort of open. Basically the entrance is actually charged here, the national monument, but who really knows. I'm just going to go in here. I really don't know what to expect in here. I'm sorry I made a video, but this is actually what the mosque looks like. And instead of images of people, because in Islam they don't allow images of people, they actually have symbols, just like what I showed you guys in Dubai. So basically here it is. Unfortunately you have to be very quiet here, but this is what it looks like inside. Basically you do have to be well dressed in the mosque, and I'm trying to get up to the minaret over here. Basically it would actually cost 80 euros, which is not so expensive. Basically many cathedrals are way too expensive for what it offers. Basically remember the La Sagrada de Familia, which is really expensive. And up here I'm on the second level here, and I'm planning to go further up. Basically you can actually see Islamic features, and why not, let's just go up a bit more until we can get into the minaret. Oh my goodness, the stairs are so narrow and so steep. Oh jeez, oh my goodness. Oh, I actually did get through a person, which is crazy. I had to use my hands as like rails, in fact. Oh my goodness, how can I even get down anyways? Even though these debilitating steps nearly made me fall because of such narrow steps as well as very steep steps and essentially spiral staircase, I finally arrived at the top of the minaret, which is actually a tower from which the faithful are called to prayer 5 times each day by a muezzin or crier. Basically this building called the minaret is actually connected to the mosque, and over there is actually the bell tower of Mostar. And basically if you go up here, the scenery is absolutely spectacular, even though it is absolutely scary to get up here because of the intensity. And over here is of course the old bridge of Mostar. Basically it's absolutely breathtaking and scenic. I'm thinking of going down, even though it's absolutely scary, but it will take me 10 minutes to try to go down, even if it would take me less than 5 to actually go up. After what feels like an eternity and nearly 10 minutes of climbing down, I finally got down, and this is how high the minaret is. Basically, went all the way up there. Basically, with all the narrow steps, it absolutely looks scary, and I'm scared I might fall to my death. But here I am, finally, at last. Basically, this is around the mosque here. I'm now going to go to another place. Basically, the minaret would be 35 meters tall, and going up, because it involves super narrow steps, it is absolutely scary. So why not? I'm actually going somewhere else now. Now, after leaving the Koski Mehmed Pasha Mosque, I'm actually going to go to the Karados Beg Mosque. So basically, it is a 5-minute walk away. I could definitely walk 5 minutes over here. So this is actually the way to go. After a 5-minute walk, I finally arrived at Karados Beg Mosque, which is actually close to the hotel. Basically the panorama guest house, basically up the hill. So you have to climb a hill to really get to my hotel. So over here it is, basically another minaret. It could be kind of scary to actually climb up, so I'm not actually going to go to the minaret if it is open. But I'm just going to look at this mosque in a sec. Basically over here is another mosque, an even older mosque. It is actually built by Mehmed, yes, another Mehmed Karados in 1557, so 60 years before the other mosque I visited. But unfortunately, from what I could see, I do believe it is actually closed, and it is now prayer time, I believe so. So please take off your shoes, and why not? I'm just going to go around here. Basically over here is what the mosque looks like, and according to the tour guide, basically when the imam comes, this mosque would actually open, but unfortunately it's not open as of currently. But as you can see, there is actually a cemetery near the mosque. I'm not sure who actually died, but these are some of the burial points over here. Basically you could actually see, I don't really know who, but it just shows some sticks, yeah. So I really don't know. Basically halfway between this mosque and my hotel is actually the Muslim Begovic house, which was home to the nobles during the 17th century in Mostar, when they established their presence in Mostar. Basically all the Bosnian elite. It is over here. Basically, if you go like maybe around 250 meters more, you could actually see the Muslim Begovic house. But unfortunately, I do believe it is closed, and it is actually a hotel at this point. The hotel costs around $125 US, which is quite expensive by Bosnian standards. But if you were to consider it's a luxury hotel, then it is definitely for sure going to be affordable. Because in the US, $125 in New York, basically in the New Jersey side, would get you probably a 3-star holiday in the hotel. I'm now back in the Kujundzeluk, and over here is actually the art studio Pandur. I'm not sure if I could record, but over here you could actually find some artwork. This is basically in the bazaar here. Basically you can see artwork from various eras and stuff. Basically mostly the modern era, but you do see some stone carvings as well. Basically here, this is just a small art studio. You could buy art and stuff, of course. And next door to the art studio Pandur is actually a Bosnian museum. Basically it is a museum dedicated to Bosnia and stuff in Mostar. But tomorrow I'm actually going to go to Sarajevo, which is actually the capital of Bosnia Herzegovina, where there are actually going to be more museums and stuff. But Mostar is actually one of the more major cities in Bosnia, so one day I'm actually going to go into it. I'm now in the Bosnasium, and over here is actually Mostar in 1910, and over here is actually Bosnia during the war, basically people fighting each other. And over here is what a typical Bosnian village would actually look like. Basically just like what we see outside of Mostar. And over here are some older radios, basically from the Cold War era during communism. Basically over here is actually Joseph Broz Tito's room. Well, Joseph Broz Tito, despite the fact he's actually a communist, he's not really aligned to the Soviet Union, and therefore Yugoslavia is actually considered quote-unquote in a third world rather than in the second world, which is actually the Soviet sphere, or the first world, which is actually in the US sphere. Basically, this is actually a Yugoslavian passport, and here is actually Tito. Basically, this is a map of Yugoslavia over here. These are some of the hats I believe Josip Broz Tito actually wore, and here's some memorabilia. And if you were to see these countries, Crna meant Montenegro, Macedonia, Slovenia, basically the most affluent former Yugoslavian states, Bosnia, Hrvatska, which is actually Croatia, Serbia, and of course this is actually Yugoslavia. Basically, it also includes Kosovo, but Kosovo is still kind of disputed today. Basically, you do have an average Serbian room over here. And this is actually an art gallery of some sort, basically to celebrate Mostar. And here are some materials used during the Bosnian War of the mid-90s. And if you were to see here, this is actually a Croatian Catholic room during the 19th century. And I think these are the instruments they use. And this is what Mostar looked like during the Austro-Hungarian Empire. And this was actually the last mayor of Mostar before the Austro-Hungarian Empire actually fell. Here it is, Mujaga Komedina. Basically, you see some more memorabilia as well as artifacts. And these are some of the activities Bosnians actually do, including, you guessed it, carpentry, farriery, basically arts and crafts and stuff, calligraphy, Islamic alphabet even, pottery, as well as wool processing, sewing, woodworking, as well as copper decoration as well. And if you were to go here, this is, I believe, the Ottoman period of Mostar. Basically, you could actually see several points of attraction, including the Orthodox Cathedral, the Croatian Franciscan Printing House, the Bisevic House, which is actually closed now. It actually closes at 4 p.m. Haji Kut Mosque. And you could actually see Musli Begovic House, as well as the Crooked Bridge, which is actually the first bridge, and the old bridge, which actually started construction in 1557 under the orders of Suleiman the Magnificent, but actually completed 9 years later, and it remained standing basically until the Bosnian War in the 90s. And you actually see several more, including even this Koski Mehmed Pasha's Mosque, which is the only mosque in Mostar with the original color and walls decoration. I'm not joking. And this mosque as well, basically the second mosque I visited today. And basically these are some of the costumes of various ethnic groups, including Serbs, Croatians and Bosniaks, basically the Catholics, Orthodox and Muslim groups. And over here is a typical Bosniak Muslim room during the 18th century. And here are some more artifacts until I basically leave the museum. Now lastly for today, I do want to walk to the bell tower, which is actually at the end of Mostar. Basically over there it is. And I want to tell you a story about the bell tower. Oh my goodness, I nearly fell. Now this is essentially the last place I'm looking at before I go eat, because I do have to be on the train by 6:30 a.m. which is really early. Basically this is basically the last train I'll be going before 6:30 a.m. Other trains go after 9:15 a.m. which is quite good. Basically Mount Wimbledon is about 11 kilometers, but as you can see, this Peace Bell Tower does go up to 75 meters, and there's an observatory which could actually show you guys the entire Mostar and its beauty. So why not, I'm just going to go around here. I don't think it's open at this time, but why not, let's just go. And last stop before I go to dinner, these are the places we missed. The Kashtash house is actually closed at 4 p.m. The Museum of Stari Most, which is actually the old bridge museum, actually closes at 6 p.m. And the Cafe de Alma, I don't know if I would even eat there because I want to try out local Bosnian cuisine. As you can see, the bell is actually ringing. You might not have heard it, but I actually hear it. As you can see, this is actually the mosque, the Peace Bell Tower. Basically you can see a Christian cross, and that is because this is actually the Franciscan church as well. Basically a Catholic church, just like I said, inside the Bosnian Museum. So I'm just gonna walk around here. Unfortunately, I do believe it's closed, but it is actually free to walk around before I go eat dinner, of course. Basically, this is, of course, a Catholic church, even though much of Bosnia is like Muslim. Over here, it is. Basically, this whole thing is the Peace Bell Tower of Mostar. I'm now actually going to go eat dinner. Now, because the Sadiran restaurant does not accept any more tables, I'm actually going to eat here, which is Crveni Khan. Basically, I'm going to eat some type of meat as well as some vegetables. And I'm actually going to return to the hotel after buying some more water. Basically, this is my dinner meal and it only cost 10 marks, yes. Basically, a bit more than 5 euros, which is very affordable. Even compared to Vietnam, where I basically pay like sometimes more than $10 for something like this. I'm now very close to my hotel room, and here is the Musi Bigovic over here. This is actually the house here. There's actually a museum in here, but I'm not going to go. I'm actually going to climb another 2 minutes to get to my hotel. Yeah, it has been a really tired day. I woke up really early, and tomorrow I do have to wake up early again. So basically I'll get in 7 hours of sleep until about 4:30, 5 o'clock a.m. when I wake up. And then I'm gonna see you guys soon. So thank you guys for watching. Please give a big thumbs up, subscribe for more videos. Yes, I know it's really tired to just get up the hill, but thank you guys for watching. Basically, I'm now at the hotel, and just for a reminder, if you were in Budva or Mostar, please remember to bring cash. You could actually exchange euros as well as Bosnian marks and stuff. There will be a transaction fee, yes, of like $5 or $6, but in reality, you almost certainly need cash, and that was the thing I forgot. Luckily, however, the host did allow me to use PayPal. I actually did pay 30 euros. But I do have to wait several days because they say they have not received the payment yet. But whatever. Please remember to bring cash. Even in Montenegro, where the euro is not a legal tender in Montenegro because they have not signed an agreement with the EU. However, Montenegro does unilaterally adopt the euro as their currency despite that. So thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys soon.